Hey ladies, today is Friday, February 7th, 2020. 30 weeks out, 30 weeks postpartum, I guess you would still say. Michaela will be 7 months tomorrow on the 8th. And I go back to week next Friday on the 14th. That's crazy. Like, when she was first born and I had 7 months maternity leave, it felt like the longest time ever. At points, it felt like it was too long. I know it's crazy when it was really hard and I had this screaming newborn and I had no idea what to do and I was by myself trying to figure it out. I felt like I could never be able to do it. I thought I'd never be able to do it. I wanted to run back to work, to be honest. At times, it was so hard and I had no idea what I was doing. And it made me understand why they say it takes a village. It does, but I don't have a village. So it was really the village of me and my husband when he came back from work at nights. So I couldn't wait to go back to work. And now here I am a few days from going back to work. And it is, like I've said to you before, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. So as you know, I have a nanny. I've been breaking her in. And so since early January, about a month, January 7th, a month today, I had her coming 2 to 3 times a week, every week, so that Michaela could get used to her. Now, my goal was to start off at 2 to 3 days and then get up to like 4 days a week. I never did that. I end up always wanting to spend more time with Michaela. I don't know if it's that I felt threatened. I don't know what it was, but because as time passed and I felt like my time with Michaela was getting shorter and shorter, I was like, no, I'll spend Thursday and Friday. Maybe she just came Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or there was, we got her come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I always wanted more time with Michaela. And so I didn't want to share or, have her here. Would be no point to some extent. And Michaela was adjusting really well. Like Michaela adjusted to her really well, probably too well. And that's what I'm talking about today, is not that Michaela adjusted too well, right? Because that's silly. I should be happy that she's adjusted to this woman and that, the woman takes good care of her. She doesn't do everything that I would want, the way I would want it. So that's something I have to accept and be okay with, because I don't want her to be exactly like me. One, because I'm mommy, and two, she's not going to be like me. She has her style. There's been some things we've had to talk about, like keeping the schedule the way that I said, because I set the schedule. That's just the reality. But I'm always going back and forth because I don't want to correct her to the point that we have like animosity and then I have to like leave my baby with her. So I try to do it in a very delicate way. I mean, I haven't seen anything that I thought was like dangerous. That's totally different. But just, like Michaela eats every 3 hours. If she is napping, it can go out to 4 hours, but I don't think it should ever go beyond that. And I've had to explain that to her because she let Michaela, I don't like Michaela to sleep through too many feedings. She let her sleep, when she was first here in the beginning, she would let her sleep despite me telling her up front, I set the schedule up front. We signed a contract up front. It said feedings every 3 hours. It said no more than 2-hour naps. It said no napping after 5 p.m. All of these things she has done or broken, let me put it that way. Like she One time didn't feed her for like 5 hours. I had to get on that, and then her excuse was that she was napping, and I was like, yeah, you're letting her nap too long. She's not supposed to nap more than 2 hours. And sometimes naps are so unpredictable for me and Michaela. I don't know what it's like for other people. I know, I had this, someone sent me a baby sleep program that was like every nap was so scheduled, and that's fine if you're trying to schedule the start of a nap, but the end of a nap, for me, I can't predict whether Michaela sleeps for 30 minutes or an hour, Sorry, my lips are so dry. I'm so dehydrated all the time. I can't predict that. I can't predict, if I put her down for a nap at 10, I think the schedule was saying something like you put them down at 10:15, and she should sleep until 12. Well, what if she doesn't sleep until 12? And then there was like a whole bunch of things. If she doesn't sleep till 12, didn't do this to try to get better, go back to sleep. And she doesn't go back to sleep, do this. And then, it was like a lot. It was a lot. And I was overwhelmed. And so I don't do that. Michaela is usually up, even though she's getting ready to turn 7 months, at about 2 hours, maybe 2 hours, sometimes a little less than that, sometimes an hour and 50 minutes. You start noticing she's rubbing her eyes, she's yawning, she starts to get a little, she's giving you the sleep signs. Now, I know that babies like around 6 months can be up 2.5 hours. Sometimes she can, but around that, as we get closer to 2 hours, you start to notice she's sleepy. And I kept telling the nanny that. I said, it's easier if you catch her in that sweet spot to put her down for a nap, because then she gets overtired if you don't, and then she's crying more and she's cranky more. And I kept telling her that. And I was going to the point where I was like, okay, listen, if she can't get this together, it's going to be the end. And then finally she started understanding what I was saying. And see, the problem is sometimes people feel they know better than you. I understand Michaela's my first baby, but I do know her. And more importantly, I'm paying and I'm mommy, and this is what I want. And it's not unreasonable. And so after like 2 hours, you should be trying to put her to sleep. Don't wait a long time and then try to put her to sleep when she's crying and she's cranky, because then she's overtired. And she also shouldn't sleep more than 2 hours. Now, that is how I feel. That's not necessarily how other people feel. I don't like her taking long naps because sometimes she'll sleep through feedings. I like her to eat every 3, no longer than 4 hours. But again, it's my baby. It's my schedule. That's the way I want it. And so I had to keep getting on her about that, because she seemed to think, she's a nice person in a lot of other ways, but this isn't about being nice. She seemed to think that she could just not follow the schedule, despite our contract saying it, and me like contemplating firing her as I sat here. And I didn't want to do it out of emotion. I didn't want to act out of emotion and like get rid of the woman, because Michaela liked her and was taken to her really quickly. And so I was trying to weigh that, and also my anxiety about going back, my anxiety and dread about going back to work, and my guilt about going back to work, and me not really wanting to leave Michaela with anyone and go back to work, and me not really wanting anyone to share those moments with Michaela. I was trying to balance those things, and it was like, well, is this just me feeling emotional, or is this like a real thing? But I feel like it was a real thing, because if I set the schedule, if I tell you schedule, that's what it is, and you should really try to adhere to it. So I didn't really feel like she was doing that in the beginning, but she's gotten better at it. I got on her about not, going too long without feedings and the naps. Sometimes she still lets her sleep a little longer than 2 hours, but it's been like 2 hours and 5 minutes or something, so I haven't said anything. And she's now trying to put her down around like, 2 hours. I said, no longer than 2.5 hours. Like, she really needs to be trying to nap. And so she's getting better at that. And, she plays with Michaela and does activities and reads to her and ABCs and Itsy Bitsy Spider. And, but I have, the very beginning, she wasn't doing all the activities that I wanted. Yes, Michaela's still an infant, But she's at a very pivotal age where I feel like, playing and learning and discovering is really important. So, she has a lot of toys and a lot of things that you can play and do educational activities with. And so I was really stressing that to her, and she has gotten a lot better with that. And Michaela really likes her. Too much. And so that's my topic, really, is can I be replaced by the nanny? And don't think it's silly, because everyone else, if they had, and it's not a lot of people. So like my mom is currently visiting, my husband lives here. Those are Michaela doesn't see my mom that often, but she's seen her like 4 or 5 times in her short life. So that's often enough. And for days, like my mom, when we visit, is either like I'll stay a week there. She's been here. Well, I won't be able to do that now that I'm going back to work, but she's been here for over a week. She's been here before for a couple of weeks. She was here when Michaela was born. So it's like been times. So it's not like one day visit, but each time Michaela sees my mom, she has to like relearn her, because it's almost like she's a stranger. And his last visit, the current visit, it took her about a day to adjust to my mom. Not even a day. Like, she cried the first time my mom held her this visit. And then by that night, she was fine. And she's been fine pretty much with her holding her. But my point is that when my mom or my husband has her, if I come in the room or if I'm near, she pulls for me. She always does that. She puts her arm out for me. She reaches for me. She tries to come to me. But she doesn't do that with the nanny. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, if I come in the room and the nanny has her, she doesn't pull to get to me. Now, she did in the very, very first few days, and I did not take her. And so maybe she has learned that I'm not going to take her from the nanny. I don't know. I do take her when it's time for the nanny to leave from the nanny, but I don't know. She doesn't even pull for me anymore. She doesn't reach for me. And I guess that's good, because she's adjusted, but it's like, you do know that I'm your mom, right? So I kind of get like, I don't know. I guess it's jealousy. I don't know. I don't know what you call it, but it does bother me. Like the other day, I was in a different room. My husband came in from work, and the nanny had Michaela, and Michaela waved for the first time. We had been working on her waving, and trying to teach her how to wave, and she waved for the first time, and I didn't see it. And that it's a small milestone, but it's the fact that I missed it is one of her first. It's the first time I've ever missed one of her first. And my husband saw it, and the nanny saw it, and I didn't see it. And they were like, yeah, she was enthusiastically waving. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I'm not even back at work yet. I'm already missing things. So, silly, yeah, but that kind of bothered me. So I missed her first wave. And ever since I've been like, hi, wave for mommy. Like a crazy lady. Like, wave for mommy. I gotta see you wave. And then, in the beginning she was just like, you want it too bad. But then she started, I guess, waving to me. So, but why is she so comfortable with the nanny? And again, I know it's good, right? I know it's good. And I will continually work with the nanny to make sure she's doing things the way that I want. We have cameras, and even when I'm home here, I'm like looking at the cameras on my phone. We have cameras throughout the house, but she got really comfortable really quickly, and in a way I kind of feel like I've been a little replaced, because when she's with the nanny, she's content. Like, the nanny comes in, takes her from me, and she's absolutely content. I don't get it. Like, she'll come in, and I hand her off and she's fine. She goes with her with no problem, and she's not looking for me. And she looks for me with anyone else. So I know it's silly and it's a small thing, but it's just something I've been thinking about, especially since I go back to work in less than a week. Next Friday, exactly a week this time, I will be sitting in my office. So, or in the room allocated for pumping. One of them. I can't pump in my office because my freaking job has glass walls now. We recently, I guess it's been a year and a half ago, my office moved locations, and my original office did not have glass walls, so I could just probably pump in there and shut my door. It would have been great. But now our doors are glass and the wall is glass because they want us not to have any privacy and more transparency, literally transparency, and so no privacy. And so I can't pump in my office. And when I requested, I thought maybe they could put a shade up or blinds or give me a privacy screen or something so I could pump in my office. They told me I can pump in there with a room that has been designated the wellness room, which was always there. It's for pumping. It is for pumping and praying and all wellness related activities, but it's one person use room. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And New York State, you're allowed to pump for 3 years, people. 3 years. I didn't even plan to go for 3 years, but I might just go for 3 years just because I'm allowed to. I don't know. I honestly would have liked to do 2 years, but pumping is hard to anyone who has done it. And so I can just get to a year, that's my short-term goal, and then we'll reevaluate from there. But in New York, it is protected for 3 years, and you do not have to make up any time spent pumping. So if I pump every 2 to 3 hours for 20 to 30 minutes out of my work day, you don't have to make that time up. So it's not in lieu of your lunch period, or you don't have to stay late to make the time up and work. So it just has to be factored into your workload. That was actually why I wanted to pump in my office, because I thought if I pumped in my office, I wouldn't have to spend as much time away from work because I could pump in my desk and still work. But all they have to do is provide a reasonable accommodation, and that just means private place to pump, and they have done that. It may not be my office. So, hey, maybe it's better for me because it forces me to take a break instead of try to work and pump. So I'll get to sit there and look at pictures of the baby, which you're supposed to do, I guess. I even saw something that suggested having an article of clothing, but I think I'm just going to look at pictures and videos of the baby and go from there. And see, because that's supposed to help your, I think it's the hormone prolactin that helps your milk come down. So it is recommended that you look at pictures or videos or smell an article of clothing to help your milk come down while you pump. So I'll do that. It's a lot more fun, I'm sure, than working. So since I can't work during that time, I'll use it to take a break. I'm also going back on an 80% work schedule. So until further notice, I'll be taking Fridays off. Not next Friday, because I'm actually going back on a Friday, but Fridays after that. But I don't think I'll keep that up long. It's just until I get acclimated, and then I'll probably either go to a 90% or 100% schedule. But sometimes I feel like the nanny has replaced me, and it happens so quickly. I'm probably wrong, right? I'm probably wrong, but that's how I feel. And you should see her with the nanny. She's just latched onto her. And I'm thinking, this woman did not have you. Matter of fact, you didn't even know her up until a month ago. What is the deal? But I should be happy. I should be happy that she's doing so well with the nanny. I realized that, and I may have said this before, but I realized that I need her way more than she needs me. It's funny. I wouldn't have suspected that to be the case, but I realized I need her more than she needs me. So this will definitely be a harder transition on me than it is on her. Yeah. But all right, ladies, I will talk to you next week. Probably not until after I go back to work, just so I can tell you how my first day back was. I'll probably be a blubbering mess between now and then. I've been trying to hold it together and not think too much about it, but when I think about it, I'm just like, someone told me it's just a phase, it's a new normal, it'll pass, you'll be fine, and that is probably all true. But right now, it feels like the end of the world. It's like the end of one world, and I guess a new one. Is motherhood a thing? Every time I get used to one thing, we're on to something else. But wish me luck. All right, I will talk to you guys soon.